Hey, hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. So if you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here today. So today I'm going to talk about how to know when to give up. So should we ever give up? I mean, how do we know when? How do we know when it's, you're just banging your head against the wall and there's no reason to go any further, right? Well, there's plenty of great stories about persistence. I mean, J.K. Rowling living on welfare while writing Harry Potter, right? Thomas Edison and his team attempting thousands of different materials before finally figuring out how to make the light bulbs that created the industrial empire and changed all of our lives forever. Albert Einstein failing to find work in physics, but he dreamt up his revolutionary ideas for physics working in the Swiss patent office. What we hardly ever hear are the stories where the moral of the story is that the person should have just given up. But it's true, these stories do exist. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So it's true, these stories do exist. They're just not as celebrated, though. Maybe they should be. I don't know. There's really some famous people who should have given up. First off, Isaac Newton, he is famous for discovering the law of gravity that, unites apples falling and planets' orbits and all that. But yet he spent years trying to decipher some strange numerological code hidden in the Bible that he thought could give him the recipe for turning lead into gold. So that's one thing he should have gave up earlier, right? There's a lady, I don't really know her, but a lady named Elizabeth Holmes who created a bogus blood testing company called Theranos. And she, had she had ambition and persistence in abundance, or she did have ambition and persistence, but what she didn't do is if she would have thought about what she was doing, she might have readjusted, that drive that she had into a product that wasn't a sham, right? Apparently she defrauded, billions of dollars from investors. But hey, even Alexander the Great died at an early age because he pushed his empire too wide and too thin rather than stopping while he was ahead. Hi, Don. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. So the problem with persistence. So every single decision that you make, to keep going faces a trade-off. On the one hand, if you quit too early and too often, you never get past the hard parts and into the area where your effort might pay off. Really, you have to be persistent. You have to get past that hard part because the easy spaces in life with guaranteed wins for little effort, they're crowded. That's where all the people are. Right? That's why you see so few people at the top of your company. That's why, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're in Avon or another direct sales company, there's very little competition at the top levels. But look at this, no different with football or team sports or movie stars or singers. Sure, there's tons of people that want to do it, and there's tons of people that maybe make a living, but there's only a few that are at the top, right? So it's only once you get past that easy part and get to a place where there's a lot less competition, that's where you need the persistence. That's where you have to have that persistence and that vision and that drive to really start seeing the rewards. Because when things are easy, everyone is doing them. So you want to go through to where the things are hard to make it worth your time. But then again, on the other hand, failing to quit is a failure to learn. Sometimes your ideas and your vision just don't match reality. Sometimes what you're trying to do isn't going to work, and staying stubbornly in the same direction can cost you much more than just pride. So how do you know whether to go forward or give up? I've been in a position lots of times in my life where things seem to not be working out, and I've had to consider whether I should keep going or give up. I'm sure every single one of us have been there, right? Every one of us. I first got married when I was 18 years old. My husband at the time was an alcoholic, and he was very abusive, among other things. And I didn't know what to do. I had made vows, for better or for worse, until death do us part. And I took those very seriously. And unfortunately, I almost did death do us part because I ended up leaving him after only 4 months. But the night I left him, he had hit me over the head with a hammer and almost killed me. And so that was a situation where I should not have persisted. I should not have held my ground and said, I'm going to get through this. I should have walked away from it the first time he hit me. right? But live and learn, right? But hey, now let's move forward many years. So at one point, Richard and I made the decision to leave Avon. That was 8 years ago, I think, and we left for 6 years. So Avon had made some changes that had hurt us, and we thought we could do better somewhere else, And in the end, I learned a very valuable lesson there too. Things aren't always greener on the other side. During the 6 years I wasn't working my Avon business, I worked one company really, really hard. For 5 years, I worked it hard. And then I tried a couple more companies in that last year. And I hadn't quit Avon. I had just quit working it. And you know what? No matter how hard I worked in those other companies, I couldn't even come close to earning the amount of money that Avon was still direct depositing in my bank account every 2 weeks. Yeah, Avon continued to pay me every 2 weeks, even though I didn't lift a finger in 6 years. That's the power of residual income. And I couldn't even come close. It was dwindling slowly starting to dwindle because I wasn't working it. But I couldn't even come close in these other companies to even making a quarter of what I was making with Avon. So I came back to Avon, and now I'm working hard to make up for the time I lost because of that decision I made back then. And yeah, it's really sad that I had to learn the hard way, but learn I did. My commitment to Avon now is more than it's ever been. So at that time, leaving wasn't the right answer. I should have stuck with persistence and kept going. And so throughout my life, there's been many moments where I've had to make judgment calls about whether or not to keep going. And the choice is never clear-cut or an easy one. So how do you make that tough decision about how to, whether to keep going or to quit? You know what? I don't have the answers. Sorry. If I did, my life would be perfect already, But I do have some answers, some ideas for you. The thing is, to have the answers, we have to have a crystal ball, right? And none of us have that. But I do have some ideas for you. So the first one, do you have an obviously better opportunity? So decisions aren't made in isolation. You're always comparing doing something to doing something else. Right? Even do nothing is doing something because you're going to fill your time with whatever, watching TV or hanging out with friends or whatever it is you do, But a good question when you're weighing whether or not to continue is if you have a clear idea of what you would do instead. Maybe a project is hitting a rough patch, but it's still the best idea you have of how you reach your goals. And so you just need to push through. As I learned with my big Avon mistake, be sure, though, that it's actually a better opportunity. Don't just jump ship to get into another situation that's going to end up being the same thing. The second one, what did you commit to? One mental tool I use a lot to stick to hard things is I predefine my commitment before I start. And so that way I don't depend on momentary frustrations to make big decisions to quit or continue, but it's a different rule of thumb, right? So, and I do this with new representatives. When I start them on my team, I try to get them to commit to 1 year at least. No matter how bad it gets, make the commitment to be here 1 year from now. And then you can make the decision to leave or to stay, because it takes that kind of effort that long to really see if it's going to work for you. If you don't have some sort of commitment, it's too easy to give up. My friend Jordan Adler, he says, never give up on a bad day. That is such great advice. If you're having a bad day and if things suck and you're upset, today's not the day to quit. Tell yourself, I'm going to get through this day and I can quit tomorrow if I want to. And then when you're having a good day, then you make the decision. Okay, did I really want to quit or was I having a bad day? God, how powerful is that, right? So, okay, the next one, would your future self feel regret or relief? So this is a hard question because it depends on imagining your future emotions in a way that isn't always possible, But even so, I do like this approach to evaluating big decisions because it makes use of your intuition as opposed to just your rational mind, which might not be enough for this, right? So as well as it forces you to see above the momentary hiccups and focus on the big picture. So if I feel like the future me might regret the decision, then I usually will commit to a bit more. Chris Mero, she says, I'm committed to 1 year. I had to pay for my 1 year Chamber of Commerce membership up front, 1 year, and always prayed on it. Yes, absolutely. Love that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Chris. So, so pick a spot out, either in time, say 6 months or a year, like Chris is saying, or maybe a certain milestone. So maybe you say, after I achieve a certain leadership level. So like if you're with Avon, maybe it's I'm going to get to bronze leader or whatever. Or if you're in a job, then I'm going to get that promotion or whatever, right? And then push to that spot and then reevaluate it. My friend Lisa Wilbur, who's also really smart, she's the number 4 money earner in Avon. She's the number 4 top paid representative in Avon. And she set her spot out at the top level of the company. When she joined Avon, she said, I am going to the top. I am going to the very top level, and I'm not going to look back until I get there, because how do I know what it's going to be like to be at that level unless I get there? So she says, I will get there and then I'll reevaluate. And that was a pretty smart decision on her part. And that's the reason why she's the number 4 earner. She's still working to get to number 1 earner, but she's at that very top level, which is platinum executive leader or something like that. Anyway, she's there, right? And on the other hand, though, if I imagine that the future me would feel like it's a relief, that with more emotional distance, I'd recognize that I was in a bad relationship or a bad project or obsession or mindset, then that's probably a good reason to think that giving up might be good, right? Sometimes we get overly attached to our current plans and fear giving them up because we don't know what the unknown, we don't know what the future holds, right? But if you expect that you'll feel relief, then it might be wise to give it up now. But seriously, I would think long and hard before you did. Then do you need to give up or just take a break? This is so important, right? Because fatigue, anxiety, and frustration can all put you in emotional states that can make it hard to keep going. Our business, especially if you're in Avon or if you're in any direct sales business, it's like a roller coaster. It's up and down, up and down. Oh, you're so excited today, and oh, nobody will talk to me tomorrow, right? And here's the thing. Sometimes that problem is just that. It's a momentary emotion. So, if whatever you're considering giving up is important and you've invested a lot of time already, then I strongly suggest you start with a brief break. If it's a semester off of school or a leave of absence at work or a vacation, just even a vacation to clear your head. And once you get back to a more neutral mindset, you can re-examine your feelings and see if you really want to get back up and continue on the path, or if distance reinforced your decision to give it all up. That's just like with Jordan Adler when he says never quit on a bad day. Hang in there and make that decision on a good day when your mind is clear, right? In fact, I suggest you always do this if possible. Take a break, even if it's just a little one, even if it's just going outside or waiting until tomorrow, right, before walking away. But whatever you do, recognize that there's no perfect solution to these problems in life. You're always going to make decisions under uncertainty. Always. If we had a crystal ball, maybe things would be different, but we don't, right? So the choice is yours to make. So, hey, now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever struggled with whether to keep going or to quit? I know we all have, right? What kinds of things help you when you have to make that decision? Please get down in the comments and share your thoughts. I would love to hear them. I would love to hear your stories. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Sarah and Dawn and Karen and Chris. Thanks for being here live with me, and anyone else who might be live who just didn't comment, and anyone who's watching the replay. I appreciate you. So go out there and have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.